Well, the indication is that the talks have been very, very positive. We're just waiting for a photo op. I'm joining you right here at the Kiribati House or the Admiralty House, where that's the venue of the bilaterals that have taken place. You can see behind me the view is fantastic. It's a beautiful property, and that's where around the poolside we are expecting a photo op very soon between the two leaders. But I think even as we move. One thing that stands out, I think Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister with Anthony Albanese, we have discussed a varied range of issues, threadbare. You must remember that in the hall, Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar and also Ajit Dovalji, both of them were present. So clearly, at all levels, strategic, otherwise, have been discussed. These matters have been spoken about, and that's why you heard all issues being on the table. And I think all issues were on the table when Prime Minister Narendra Modi comes out and says, or Tony Anthony Albanese comes out and says that we are going to open up a consulate in Bangalore, and focus is on migration and mobility, and to look at greater cooperation. Back home, the constituency, Prime Minister Narendra Modi very clearly saying that the issue of extremism has been spoken about, has and there has been assurance from his Australian counterpart that any act of vandalism or extremism, attack at religious institutionalist activity will be cracked down upon and it will not be tolerated. And I think that matter has also been discussed threadbare. But along with that, cooperation in renewable energy is significant. It is very, very important that we notice this and we understand this strategic partnership, greater cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, and also working towards the leadership of the global South, and India and Australia jointly taking that leadership. I think this is the mutual trust, mutual respect that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was speaking about. And I think the admiration beyond MasterChef has now also gone to cricket, where he's invited Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to come and witness the Cricket World Cup, which India is going to host in November, October, November. That will be after the G20. So he's extended the invitation for the G20 leadership, that summit in September. But after that, he said, please come back again. We may have met each other 6 times. Both of them spoke about it in the last year and a half by the time from the time Prime Minister. But let's make it 7, 8 times. And that is why he's T20 ki raftar par daud rahi hai. This when he says that this is running at the space of a T20, the India-Australia relationship itself means a lot. The other aspect that he spoke about is the moving or taking ECTA, the Economic Cooperation Trade Agreement, to the next level with CECA. That is the Economic Cooperation Agreement, or a Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. That itself shows that they want to move very fast towards a full-time free trade deal. That is great for businesses. Opening up of the Indian consulate in Brisbane, and also the counter consulate in Bangalore, also shows the B2B connection is also going to increase, Brisbane to Bangalore, but more importantly, the businesses, the IT sector, getting the importance that it requires. Clearly, Australia needs a lot of people in STEM, and I think that is also significant. So all of these aspects were comprehensively covered, and the Prime Minister knew what each constituency back home is going to request or expect. And I think he didn't mince words when he spoke about it, but it was all spoken, or it was all said in an atmosphere of cordiality. And as Anthony Albanese was also in agreement of what is going to be shared, what is going to be shared in this joint statement. I think what stands out is there is understanding between India and Australia that they need to become two vibrant democracies that will also work together very strongly. I think the message from the Indian diaspora yesterday to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is that the diaspora will back the Australian government in positive measures for greater cooperation, only want more and more engagement. We're being herded towards the poolside for a photo op shoot, but I'm going to be live. I'm going to get you these pictures, and I'll walk while I talk. But yes, I think for all of us back home, this is the big message from the Prime Minister, that what has happened in these bilaterals, it didn't last for very long, maybe an hour maximum, but majority of the issues were already upon on the sidelines with the various respective ministers. I think within Quad, both Australia and India have decided that they're going to take perhaps or helm the greater responsibility, bring in Japan and Australia, they weigh in. But I think strengthening of the Quad and Australia and India driving that partnership or that quartet, I think is more important. There are many other nations who want to be a part of Quad. They want to make it 6 nations, 8 nations, but I think these will be engaged with by India and Australia at various levels. This Indo-Pacific, securing the Indo-Pacific, making these two nations perhaps the cornerstones for security, for guarding the Indo-Pacific region. I think that's what stands out from this conversation. The cordiality, the friendship that they have struck, and of course the mutual respect that we are seeing. I think these things also stood out for me as I was watching, and there is great camaraderie there. And when there is camaraderie, when there is aligning of cultural thought, there is annihilating of interest. I think the rest of the things fall in place faster. It's just going to be faster and sooner. We are going to see more of primary Minister Anthony Albanese on Indian soil, and I think more of India-Australia engagement going forward. This one must remember this entire economic cooperation trade agreement took more than 10 years to fructify because it was mooted back at that time during the time of Prime Minister Rudd in 2010, 2011. It went into limbo. It's come back around the time of Scott Morrison and eventually getting into action despite a government change and the Labour coming back into power. They have gone ahead and executed it in November 2022 and they want to implement it, take it forward properly. I think all of these things are stand out for me, and they become important. I'm just being asked by our friends to just walk towards the poolside where the photograph or the photo option will happen. We'll go there, and and I think we are being taken to the joint photo op at this point. Back to you in the studio before the next question comes. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for all the updates that you've brought us, and definitely an interpretation of what all has been said in the joint statement post the bilateral talks. Well, definitely we have, like Prime Minister Modi pointed out, that India-Australia's ties go beyond regional stability and global welfare. Well, another very important aspect that was highlighted was the mutual respect and cooperation, wherein yesterday itself Harris Park was named Little India, and one of the members of the parliament earlier, while speaking to Anand, had spoken about how 1 million people in Australia have Indian descent. That speaks a lot about the kind of Indian diaspora that exists in Australia currently. Well, we have joining us on the broadcast Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, well, you heard all that was said by both the Prime Ministers, and like Anand pointed out as well, there are a lot of important pointers that have come to the highlight when we speak of the relationship that India shares with Australia. While we had spoken about Indo-Pacific initially, what we can take a look right now is the trade relations that Anand pointed out as well. The trade relations wherein Prime Minister Albanese has spoken about signing an economic comprehensive cooperation agreement with India. What can we make of that?
Australia sits on a huge natural reserve of various minerals and various coal and other rare earth materials. And as a country, India, which is envisaging a huge growth rate, it needs a lot of them at a sustainable supply rate. So clearly, the rare earth minerals and with the latest energy transition that we are going to have in terms of clean energy as well, various nickel, cobalt, and lithium. These are the rare minerals and materials that will be needed for any country to sustain that huge rate of growth. Coal is another natural, reserve that Australia has in a huge quantity, and we are already having some coal trade with Australia in terms of importing those things. But then there are other areas of opportunities as well where India and Australia can join hands together in development of critical technology as well. So these are the issues that both the Prime Minister will be discussing when having a meeting, because the kind of diaspora support we have already seen that happening way back in 2015 also, when Prime Minister had gone to Australia in his first tenure as the Prime Minister of India. Since then, though the relationship has only forged ahead, and the huge Indian diaspora's presence is contributing significantly in Australia's overall growth, be it economic growth or in terms of technology or new areas of trade and commerce dynamics. So clearly, with a strong Indian diaspora presence, India can encash upon having a good relationship with Australia. At the same time, that should reflect also in having a benefit for each other, for commerce, trade, technology transfer, critical areas of technology transfer. That climate action is something that Prime Minister has been talking about.